overview, we're looking at relating as the inner feminine and masculine to start with, which is an energy of receptivity with a feminine or Venus, and an energy of going out and penetrating the world in Mars. And those are always at play. We're always receiving, and we're always also expressing, receiving, expressing, in and out. We can see that in human design, in the openness and the definition. We're taking in and we are emitting out. Especially between 7 and 21, we're going to start to live out patterns that usually stay with us forever. We can also see that if you look at your own lines, they probably look more like one of your parents than the other. It's something that's coming from what you were imprinted with, what you were conditioned in your family. And the next place, we're going to go even deeper into this part of the chart where there is even less awareness. Because when we are in the womb and when we are 0 to 7 years old, we don't have the emotional maturity or the intellectual maturity to even make sense of what happened. So these are the cell memories that sits in the body, that sits in the cells that are unconscious. And that's why we need to find ways of coming back in so that we can resolve, integrate. And if we are too busy living out the karmic patterns between our purpose and attraction and creating this low frequency chemistry with others, and then the ping pong between the immature masculine and immature feminine, there is no way that we're going to have enough space in our life, in our emotions, in our cellular makeup to ever be able to go back to the SQ and the core. So that's going to have to do with the inner child, 0 to 7, that can never grow up and become safe. And we can never take responsibility for what the soul came here to work with, which has to do with the core wound. So you can be very busy when it comes to your inner earth, your inner moon, together with your outer Mars and Venus. We're looking here at the matrix that is both coming from the natal and the prenatal. Mars and Venus is from your astrology, natal, and then the earth and the moon are from the prenatal. This is a geometry that you don't see in astrology. However, in astrology, you can look at your Mars and your Venus. In the introduction, we did look at the interplay with Venus and Mars and the moon, and we were saying that's going to show our preferences and how we live out our relationships. Because again, remembering that we have the Earth, and then the moon is going around the Earth, and then the two closest planets are Venus and Mars. So it has to do with how we are relating to self and other, what our preferences are, and also what we appreciate in others and what we can't stand in others. So going to the sign of your Venus, the sign of your Mars, these are also shadows that you can look at. So if you have, for example, a Venus that is in Aries, let's say, then what you do like and prefer is fire, is fast, is leadership, because all this have to do with Aries. And if a person is really slow or too introvert, you're probably not going to appreciate that so much. And let's say that you have your Mars in Capricorn, then the way that you do things are probably going to be less impulsive than how many other people act. And there can be a bit more of those shadows that we're seeing in Mars that have to do with control and domination than maybe the impulsiveness and the aggression and these things. So it's also colored by just looking at your astrology chart. What sign do you have Mars and Venus in? And in IQ and EQ, we are looking at your normal astrology. So you already have so much there in terms of Venus and Mars. Mars is a drive. It's how you do things. We could say this is how you like things, and this is how you do things. And in any sign, there are, of course, both a low frequency and a higher frequency expression. So SQ and core, which is design Mars for the core and design Venus for the SQ. That will be where we're going next time. And we're going to revisit both of these in future modules as well.